Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Cyndee Whitney, who is here on behalf of Thrive. But of course, we know her as the delightful host of Discovering Laguna Woods. Well, Cyndee, thank you for joining me today.
Well, it is my pleasure, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And, you know, a lot of stuff, like you mentioned, actually off camera, we've been talking about a lot of things that have been going on. You just got done with Woodstock, and I know we are going to look forward to that coming up in an upcoming episode. So very fun. And then, of course, you are here today to talk to us about Thrive. And it's always been about the community and how people can, you know, certainly tell us about how they're thriving in a community like ours. But so real quick, just give me a brief explanation of what the Thrive group does.
Well, we actually have a mission, and that mission is to inspire quality living in every chapter of our lives. Mm-hmm. And we come on to your show. Thank you very much for allowing us to do that. And we do that so that we can inspire people with our messages and maybe support a little bit of that quality of life by the insights that we're providing. And that's kind of what I wanted to do today with a special little segment that I have.
Yeah, that's perfect. And, you know, it's interesting because what you've referenced here is a TED Talk. And, you know, TED Talks are all over the map. I mean, they cover so many different things, but you found a very unique one.
Yes, I did. And typically they're, you know, either tech sciences or life sciences. And this one was interesting because it attracted me because it was about brain science. And so I thought that's going to be great. And as it turns out, the brain scientist that was presenting this information is the 7-year-old little girl named Molly Wright from Queensland, Australia. And the messages that she has, as I was listening to them, I said, wait a minute, you're talking about the brain development of a child. They're exactly the same things that we need at our age. There's lots of science, there's lots of research that supports that. So I put together a little presentation that kind of compares the two.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, well, excellent. Yeah. Who would have known a 7-year-old had this kind of information?
You really, really have to watch it. She's brilliant, but also she's charming. And she also has a point that she's trying to make with, she wishes everybody would get off their screens and their cell phones and pay attention to the brain development of their own children.
Yeah, well, and here we go. We're on screen and in front of our, you know, computers on a regular basis.
I know. Well, there's value in that too.
Well, I think so, but limitation, right? Limitation. All right, so run us through these points.
Okay, all right. The first one, and I'm going to use little Molly's graphics here because I thought they were charming, and she calls them tips. So I'm going to say the first tip that we need to pay attention to is connection. Now, children need connection because they need to feel safe and secure, and they have to build trust. We need connection because if we engage in social connections, we can increase our mental, our physical, and our emotional well-being. It could be something very simple. We can be encountering somebody on a walk by the creek and we can acknowledge them and have eye contact and say hello. We can talk to our neighbors as we walk out to our car, or we can chat up somebody in a grocery store checkout line. And all of those things have value because they can strengthen our immune systems. They can help us recover from illness, and they can help us actually increase our longevity if we really connect with people and keep those social connections moving. The second tip that Molly had was about talking. Now, talking is something that children do naturally because they're hardwired to talk. And so it's healthy for them to talk and build vocabulary and their language skills and meaning skills. For us, it's a little different. We talk because we want to exchange lived experiences with people and events that we've experienced, and that way we can build an agile mind because we're remembering these things and we're sharing them with other people. They can gain insights from things that we're talking about, and they can build their own skills. So talking is a very important social connection also. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The third thing that she came up with was playing. And I thought, well, I'm not sure how that relates to us, but play, of course, playing has always been called the work of childhood because when children play, they're learning cooperative play, role play, imaginative play, experiential play, narrative play. That's building their adult skills. We already have those. But we have no shortage of opportunities to play in Laguna Woods. We have ping pong and bocce and bridge and pickleball and golf and tennis. And we play with clay and we play with paints and we play We join groups and we put on plays. We're always playing. And that has great value too, because playing just for the joy of it reduces stress and depression, because we are laughing and we are releasing endorphins and it makes us happy.
Yes.
And it also can reduce or prevent certain memory problems. So play is very important. It's very important for us to do that. Last two are brief. Well, the fourth one is a healthy home. It's important for children to have healthy homes, just like it's important for us to have. Our homes need to nurture us more, though. We need a safe home, a home that's accessible, that we can navigate around in regardless of our mobility. We need a stimulating home. We've been locked in our homes for the last 18 months. If we didn't have a stimulating home, we wouldn't have been as well off as we are right now. We also need nutritious food, and we need a quiet place to get restorative sleep. And the last one is community. And there is no difference between what children need and people middle-aged or old age or whatever. We all need community. And community is a space, whether it's a virtual or physical space, that offers us opportunities to engage with each other, to learn, to laugh, and to be active and to thrive. And that came out of the mind of a 7-year-old child, and with my additions to it. And I just thought there's very little difference between their brain needs and ours.
Very, very true. And that's a really good example of the circle of life, right? Because you start out needing those things, yet you still end up needing those things.
Exactly.
I wanted to touch on a couple of them. So when you talk about connecting, we have not been able to connect with our loved ones and family and friends for a very long time. And unfortunately, because we haven't been able to connect with them, we have developed some unfortunate things, isolation and depression. So now that we have those opportunities to get back out there and connect with people, boy, I sure hope people take advantage of that, because that's one of the main things that I think we've really been missing for so long. So I'm glad that you and she had brought that up, because it certainly is something we need to be doing. And then the other one is playful. You mentioned all of the things that you play and you do, and we play cards and we have all these types of things, but we also have to think about our motor skills. So we have to keep doing those things to keep our motor skills going, because as you mentioned, when children play, they're doing all these other things, but they're also working on their motor skills, right? But we, of course, man, if we don't use it, we're going to lose it.
Yes. Yes. And we're fortunate here because there's almost like I don't want to say a step down, but there's if you can't play that hard game of tennis that you used to, and maybe pickleball might be a little easier, or some other skill where you're using kind of the same skill sets, you can do that until, there are other things that you can engage in along the way, that you can still keep doing these things, but also doing them with other people. I think that's the important thing, to have that social connection. It's just vital.
Well, exactly. And the last one that you had mentioned was community. And what better community than the village? I mean, it's just amazing how many people help each other out. Like, look what you guys are doing, Thrive. It's hard to get that message out there all the time, is to make sure you're happy and you're kind, and all the different, messages that you guys are trying to create. Do you think now that you've been doing this for a while, is the message coming across?
I think it is. And we also have some new people that moved in, quite a few people that moved in during the shutdown, and have really, a reduced understanding of what the village is all about. So we need to, bring them out, help them to understand some of the things that are available to them. And if we can help them in any way to acclimate to that, we're more than happy. We're reaching out to find out. We have something called a little toolbox that we're working on, so that people will share their positive stories to anyone that wants to know about that. But also, if you have a question about something, reach out to us and we will research it and find the answer for you, and just to help you thrive. We don't want anybody to be left behind or say, gee, I came in during a shutdown and I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Help them, of course. But aren't we lucky to have been here when that devastating thing happened? And we're in something together, and the village helped us and supported us in so many ways to get through this, with the information that you put on every single morning. We're all glued to the TV set to find out what's new. Help us, keep us informed. I mean, without information, we're making up our own stuff. So thank you so much. And we were so fortunate to be here during such a devastating thing.
Thank you. We certainly did try, and it's unfortunate that we don't have many other news stations that we can refer to for local news. The majority of the time you would turn on the news and everything would be about Los Angeles, which is something I think we've been fighting for a long time. But so we just kind of do what we can do to make sure everybody here is super informed. So thank you for watching. We appreciate it. And then one last thing. So tell me what's next for Thrive.
Well, we are, we still, we had our kindness, and then we sort of, discussed resilience. We actually thought of resilience because we thought there was going to be a slower period of time that people took to, sort of, tentatively come back out and get engaged back in life. We found people hit the ground running as soon as it was, reasonable to do that. They're still being, of course, very cautious and being sensible and following all the rules, but they wanted to get out in that sunshine and have some activities available to them and have some fun. And as you mentioned, Woodstock, it was well attended and people were safe and cautious, but they had a heck of a good time. So we're looking at what's the next helpful thing that we can put out there for people. With this toolbox that we're putting together, I think will be, because it's about specific things, specific questions that people have, so we can address their needs as opposed to trying to have a blanket concept out there.
Good.
So
I love it. Well, thank you so much for the update. I appreciate it.
well, you're very welcome, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be on, and I love talking about Thrive. So thanks for having us all the time.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you, Cyndee. And we'll be right back after this.